Israel is evidence of who God is. It's his nation. No man formed that nation. No people formed that nation. This isn't even here, man. It's just going. No man formed the nation. God himself called a man called Abraham out from the world and said, I am going to make of thee an example. I am going to form with you a nation that's going to be a peculiar nation, a sign and a wonder to the nations that's going to bring forth my glory.
Amen.
What happened was he said, I'm going to use this nation to be the one that brings forth the redemption of all mankind, the restoration of planet Earth to myself. And that's what he did with Israel. Israel is that sign and wonder. And so too, that story is a parallel for the church today. It's a church for nations. But God had this tiny little nation, and he said, I'm going to make you a peculiar people, a sign and wonder. Not many people. But yet, the eyes of the world today are on the Middle East. The eyes of the world cannot forget Israel. You know what? The Gentiles that have come in have been a blessing. It says in Romans 11, it says, do not be arrogant against these natural blessings. They were broken off for unbelief, and so that you might come in. But he says further, behold the mystery, for they shall not, I'm not finished with them yet.
Amen.
Right? He said that they shall see the one who has been pierced through, and they shall believe when the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Now what does that mean, the times of the Gentiles? There's a lot of people with different translations of it. Let me just tell you what it is. It is this. It is when God says, I am stopping this time, this dispensation of Gentiles coming in. Just like when Noah built his ship. There was a time where anyone could get on that ship, but there was a time when God, closed the door. He did. It says his hand closed the door and said no one else could come in. And that was it. Because Noah's family heard the word, and he came in, and they were saved. Same thing here. There's a time when God's going to close the door and say, now the time to come, because ultimately what's going to happen is everything goes back to Israel. Read it in Revelation. It goes back to Israel. It goes back to New Jerusalem, coming back in that same place where Jerusalem is today. Jesus is setting foot back on Mount of Olives. He's coming back. And God is going to bring his restoration back to the world in Israel.
Hallelujah.
Now what's happened with the Gentile church is, it's been wonderful how God has just used this church to bring in the nations. God's used it powerfully. But what's happened is, why is Israel such a thorn in the side of the world? Because, I hate to tell you, but I know what's happened, is people have forgotten who the true God is. There's only one and only true God. And he's allowing Israel, he brought it back to life, not only because that's the place of his final restoration, and it says in the Word he will do these things. And I'm going to share a little bit about that, about Ezekiel. He talks about the valley of dry bones, which is a prophetic chapter about what Ezekiel saw of the people being brought back, Israel being brought back as a nation, prophetically has been fulfilled. Now there are people that say, well, that was a political thing. That was Zionists. There's this word Zionist, and there's a dirty word called Zionist in the church today. Let me tell you something. You try to get a political solution. Look at Washington, the mess we're in. We can't get the politicians talking to one another to solve the stupid thing. So here, the entire world, the United Nations, got together and said, we need to make a land for the Jewish people. They agreed on something. That's a miracle. You can't get people to agree, politicians to agree on anything. They agreed to give it a nation again. That had to be God and only God. That's a miracle. And it's a miracle that if it's not true, then this whole word of God isn't true. But it's a word to you of promise tonight. Because if God could cause from the ashes there to be a nation again and a language to be revived and all that. There's hope for you and me in this life in America today. No matter what you're going through, there's hope for you because what God did. So Israel is still a sign and a wonder.
It is.
And God's ready to do some incredible things. We don't know what it is. We can only speculate. But I want to tell you that His name has got to be praised. And I'm sorry, but He's not G-O-D. See, when you have an understanding, say, I pray to God, I believe in God, even through Yeshua HaMashiach. Now, Yeshua knew He was praying to. Yeshua knew He was praying to the God of Israel, His Father. He knew, and the Jews He preached to knew who the Father was. He's the God of Israel. He's Yahweh. Jehovah, if you want to call Him. He's the God of Israel. There's only one true God, the one who revealed Himself, right, to Abraham, who revealed Himself to Abraham, to Jacob, right, to Isaac, right, who became Jacob, who became Israel. And then the nations of Israel from. But that's the God, and you've got to track it. So what He's doing is He's keeping His name, His true name, alive through Israel today.
That's right. Amen.
They may not know Him in an intimate way because they rejected Messiah for the most part, though there are a lot of Messianic Jews in Israel. And there's people coming to Messiah left and right now. Sid Roth is going around, we're doing this campaign where we're mailing a book called They Thought for Themselves. He has it in 8 languages, but right in America and Canada, he's mailing it to 2 million Jews. He's got a list of unsaved Jews, and he's sending it to them, and they're getting saved. Rabbi, Orthodox, Rabbi, rabbinical students are finding Messiah.
Hallelujah.
He's done meetings now where he's gone into Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, called Lectures in the Supernatural. They think it's a New Age thing. They go in there and they don't know what it is. He has no church music or anything in there. He just goes in and starts telling his story, but he starts saying, you know, I've seen every kind of miracle in the book. I've been investigating the paranormal, and the Bible is true. And tonight, God's going to do miracles. He said, the God of Israel is going to do miracles. And he just starts doing this. He just starts saying, how many of you came in here with back problems today? Stand up. You have back? Okay. Move your back up. God's already started. The God of Israel is already healing people. And all of a sudden, people go, oh. And all of a sudden, He's healing. And he starts telling his story of how he found Messiah. They don't know it's Jesus yet. But he just starts telling the story. Then he goes, ooh, there's somebody over here. And he just gets these words of knowledge. And these people start getting healed. I was in this one in Brooklyn where this elderly woman who for 5 years was bound to a wheelchair, Jewish woman, she had a lady there that was with her who was an attendant. All of a sudden, she starts getting up and she starts walking. She goes, and her attendant goes, oh my God! She couldn't walk! Oh my God! Well, I'm telling you, it was like incredible. And it was just at the point when Sid was going to reveal who the healer was. That it was Yeshua. And he was going to get into a story of how he received Yeshua. I mean, the timing of God, and then he says it. There were over 400 Jews there, bona fide Jewish people who didn't know Messiah. There were others there too. We had a Messianic congregation in Brooklyn that was there. Of that, when he asked for them to come, no one left. They all stood up and received Messiah. This has happened in Boca Raton. This has happened in Baltimore. This has happened all. Jewish people are now coming in. They're just open to hearing the truth about Messiah. They're open in this country, in America and North America. It's amazing. In Canada.